a challenging scene. I've decided that the boats at the horizon line are really my focal point. And I've made, in my drawing, I've made one boat a little bit bigger, and it's a sailboat, not a stink pot boat. And so of that whole line of white, one of them will be slightly larger. It's not going to be real dominant, but that's going to be my focal point down in this area. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "Do something every day that scares you." And I'll tell you, these clouds have me frightened. I'll be honest with you, because when I'm outside in the summer, the paints dry fairly quickly, and I can put the clouds in and then start putting the blue in around the clouds without things bleeding. But indoors, where things don't dry as quickly, there may be some times we have to wait a little bit before we keep going. I like to keep moving, but there are times you have to let the paper wait. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start in, and my other point is, if my brightest whites are the boats, then the white clouds are not going to be as white as the boats. So I've got to tone them down. And I also will submit that the blue in the sky, and I've rearranged the clouds a little bit, the blue in the sky is going to be darker for me than the shadow sides of the clouds. I don't want those shadow things to look, I don't want to make like an impending storm and make this painting too gloomy. So I will try not to let the shadow sides of the clouds get too dark, but I've got to tone down the light sides of the clouds. So I'm going to paint, whoa, which brush am I going to use? I'm going to paint, I'm going to throw some water over my, and people said, when you do clouds, get in and then get out. Like, don't diddle around with it. So I'm putting some water so that when I put the color down, it will. How are everything at the auto shop, Bill?
Everything's fine. Plus, I'm rolling and recording.
Okay, so I put some water where I think my clouds are going to be, and I've tried to. Okay. Ooh, so I'm going to take a little bit of raw sienna, which is my kind of yellowish brown, and a little bit of alizarin crimson. And I'm going to get, what was that? And I'm just gonna paint this, and I'm gonna make a little bit of lumpy at the top, and more or less straight at the bottom. And I don't know if you can see this because it's so pale. And I want my colors to be a little bit paler at the horizon. Okay. Just, if you're not sure, I'm just adding some clouds here. I squint my eyes, and if I see that, oh, something needs a little bit more, a little bit less. Yeah. Okay, so here's the scary part. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of the darks underneath the clouds. So I'm adding a little bit of blue to what I already have on my palette, which is raw sienna and alizarin crimson. And I'm just putting it on. How does it look? Is it that good? Yeah. A little bit more blue. And since the paper is wet, it's kind of bleeding upwards a little bit, but it's not bleeding down because that's the water is the paper isn't wet there. Okay, a little bit more color. Straight line across the bottom.
What was that color mix, Ned?
It was alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue and my raw sienna. So I'm just touching really on the dry side of the clouds down here. And now since the light is coming from the left, some of these lumps, I need to reload. This is like, like my pen is running out of ink in the middle of the SAT. Damn it. Bad, bad, right?
Bad.
No, that's right. You can't use pens and SATs, can we? Okay, so because the light's coming from this side, anytime you have a little lump or a little high point, you might want to just like a mountain. You're just going to come down the side of it on the right side because the sun is coming from the left. Ooh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Barbara. Just a question. Why you would do the clouds before you do the blue sky?
Because my blue sky is going to be darker than the clouds.
Oh,
That makes sense?
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where I'm gonna. Now you got to be careful. I don't want to keep adding a lot of water. I don't want to add a lot of water to my colors because the stuff's got to dry a little bit. So as I put color on, I try not to get too much water on there. Okay. Now, here's where the painting needs, before I put darker blue in there, I need to let some of this stuff set up because it's too wet. So I'm gonna let you guys paint for a few minutes. And those in the classroom have already started painting, so they're ahead of you. So I'll take a little break, and I've got to let my colors dry before I start putting in some blue.
Ned?
Yeah.
Once again, what was the original color you used for the kind of brown?
So pink, yeah, it was, I used raw sienna and alizarin crimson.
Okay.
Really, you could also use a rose genuine and a cerulean, any blue and red, or I'm sorry, yellow and red will give you kind of some light tones for the clouds.
Okay, thank you.
Pinky or yellowy.
Did you wet the whole top?
No, I didn't.
Just.
I just wetted where I put my clouds.
Okay.
I'm trying to feel my paper, see how it's drying.
I also noticed that the clouds do get smaller.
They do. Good, Judy. Yes, the clouds get thinner as they go toward the horizon. The bigger lumpy ones over your head are wider.
Bigger and lumpy road.
Yeah, wide up here, middle size, and then skinnier down near the bottom. Yeah. Another teacher or another person could get out a hair dryer if they were impatient and wanted to dry things quickly.
Do they make battery operated ones yet?
I don't know. Do they?
I don't think so.
That would sure be
For
safer.
hair drying purposes,
Yeah.
they're just not strong enough, like for salons.
Yeah.
Okay.
But since I've been doing some yoga classes that teach me to slow down and relax. So I'm not going to try to speed up the drawing. I'll just wait. I'll get my gong and do Om for you guys.
I'm so impressed you're doing yoga, Ned. Good for you. Bill's doing it too now.
Is that right?
It's a lesson for all of us.
After watching me every day for the last 2 years get up and do it in the morning, he decided he better do it too.
Do you do it by yourself or to a recording or something you see on screen?
I took a class for about a year before COVID. And so I just do the basic stretches I learned in class. But in fact, she does offer a free online as well as,
Yeah,
pay by class. So there's, I don't do anything that I don't remember from the class.
Right,
So I do
right.
this, I've done the same thing over and over. I'm not really growing in my practice.
But you're doing it.
So you started a yellow,
Yeah, yellow.
red.
Yeah, kind of an orangey, very light orange. Yeah. Okay, now, Nana, don't keep going. Yours looks pretty good. Don't fuss too much. I mean, Judy, don't fuss too much. Looks great from here.
That's because you're looking at it upside down.
That's the better way to evaluate.
I once did an entire piece upside down, and I think it was one of the better ones I've ever.
Is that right? Yeah.
done.
Was that in a class? Yeah.
Hey, Ned, tell us again what
Yeah.
you did for the bottoms of the clouds.
What's that?
Yeah.
Tell us again what you mixed for the bottoms of the clouds.
It was just that same red and yellow and then a little bit of the ultramarine blue to get it into kind of a purpley color.
Okay, great, thanks.
Again, any red, yellow, and blue will give you a gray.
But you started out by putting basically the salmon pink.
Yeah, I did.
And you did the whole cloud? Or
Yeah,
just the top?
yeah, no, the whole cloud. So then when I put the gray in,
You don't know if
okay, now my paper is starting to stiffen up and I need some soft edges, so I'm gonna get going. And I know this will sort of annoy some of you because you're not finished with your cloud shape. So I'm gonna take a large brush here. Oh, boy. And I'm gonna get some cerulean blue. Now my blue, Judy, you're right. The blue is going to be darker near the top. And as you look at the picture, it's lighter near the horizon. So I got to watch myself that I don't use the same color at the top down near the bottom. Okay, so
What are you doing, sky? behind
I'm
you?
doing the blue sky. Okay. Now, are you good? Can you pin and can you see me? Okay, so here we go. Here's the blue sky with a big brush. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to try to go around that pinky color. And I'm going keep keep a straight line under the top cloud, but a wiggly line above my next cloud. See, I would love to have a little bit more blurring there.
Is your paper wet there?
No, I'm just going right on with a brush that's pretty full of water, though.
Okay.
It's a good point, though. Thank you. And since it is darker than the cloud, it's sort of outlining a cloud. It's sort of highlighting the clouds. Come on, let's go. Here we go. Funny thing is, as I'm drawing, pulling my brush along, I'm doing the top of one set of clouds while I'm making a line for the bottom of the other ones. That's making it a little bit tricky. And let's see, I'm going to get charged a little more. I said I wanted more strong blue in this upper corner here. And I'm going to lighten it as I come down. So add a little bit more water. See, this is where I wish the paper were a little wetter, or that the clouds are still moist. Which is darker, my greens or my sky? Which is darker? The green. So it doesn't matter if my sky goes down into those. In fact, I'm going right over the house. Just got rid of it. Okay, now this blue down in here is certainly lighter than the one in the upper left corner. What's that, Judy? What's that all about? Yep, you're just pushing water. And this very light blue now, right at the bottom, it's very light. And I'm going to start going down and around some of the boats. And then I'll be done. Making a few lines. I'm going to be going over around these boats a couple times. When I do the mountains, I got to do them, but I just want to be able to see that blue sparkle down there. Or I'm sorry, the white sparkle.
So you're bringing the blue into the mountains too?
Yeah, right across the mountains. Yep. Okay, and I'm going to bring the blue right down through the trees. I'm not going to worry about that. It's mostly water here, just so that I don't have a sharp edge line. And I'm going to stop here and let you guys fuss. I'd like to think that some of my
Can
blue.
you wet the can or wet the areas you're doing the blue with?
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
just used a pretty charged brush.
You just really dumping some blue out.
Yeah.
When you do all of the area.
Now I'm going back with some of that shadow color just because I want a dark color. I don't know what I'm going to do or not. I'm really annoyed because I sort of feel like I need to do my shadow colors under the clouds a little bit more.
You're here, Henry. You're here. Where's here? Mommy's here.
Oh, Ed, Ned, were you asking us to mute if we weren't talking?
What?
Did you want us to mute if we're not talking?
It does, I don't, unless you have a vacuum cleaner going, it doesn't make that much difference.
Okay.
So I shouldn't care about the painting over the trees,
Yeah.
or as a matter of fact, the more the better.
Okay, now. In a few areas, I am taking brush with just water. Where I have some lines that are a little bit sharp, I'm just blotting, I'm touching them up with water and creating a little softer edge using a paper towel.
You're kidding.
Yep, because the trees are gonna be getting darker.
Yeah, if you don't cross the trees, then you're gonna have a line where the dry blue stopped. And you'll see it, and it'll really annoy you.
Can't have that.
Can't have that. Okay, this isn't too bad. The sound of concentration. Whew. So they
Mind of a chicken.
I see this one makes so.
Like you were thinking about it.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, but it's a little, take combine the shapes a little bit more. You've got a lot of it. This one, and this one, this one, this one, this one. I think you combine a few of them, combine these a little bit. It does it crazy. So kind of sit. Let it needs to wait. There's a couple places. Like that's a little sharp edge, so let's just take this and just take that edginess off. See that? Maybe there's a little something that's a little bit, can get a little bit of water and just touch it. You know, you have an edge right behind you, just like the top of that would be right. The top of that little was a little sharp compared to that. Bottom is fine. So maybe just put a little water there and block.
So obviously you got the iPhone to work. Was it easy?
The iPad.
Yeah,
The answer is double click the person that you want to pin. Like double click.
Oh, I bet that works on the iPhone. That's probably been what I've been.
Yeah, and like
Double click right on the
just
image.
double tap it.
Yeah,
Right on the image that you want to pin. Pin will optional come up.
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Oh, I
I
didn't figure out something like this.
Yeah.
I haven't really, I mean, you can see I'm using it as a camera and a computer and everything, because it's sharper than, but I haven't learned how to use the iPad for
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next thing you did was you wet down the areas, the highlights of the clouds and pulled it up with a paper towel.
Yes.
Sort of.
The couple places where my blue overlap the tops of the clouds, that it made a sharp edge, I just touched it with water and a little bit of the paper towel.
I have too many things.
Yeah. that'll be all right. Where you have a line like this, a little bit sharp for a cloud. Get a little bit of that. Just see how I'm just wiggling it, or just losing that edge. That's what we did. So just kind of look around and where you see that block you want. Where you see an edge that you might not like, you can just sort of just loosen the paint. One of the things I've done, and I'm not gonna, kind of crazy to talk about it now. If I've just ruined the whole sky or something, I wait, let the whole thing dry, turn it upside down, take a huge brush and put water all over it, and all the color just drains right off the page. And then then you let it dry and start again.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
But that's when you're really desperate.
My clouds have got a lot of orange in them. I may do that.
Mine are too. Mine look very orange.
So this can be a lesson in putting in and taking out, because if you notice on my picture here, there are areas here that I have put a little bit of water, and then I've used this paper towel to just a little here, just loosen it up and lift up the color if I got it too orangey, or I have an edge that's too sharp. These clouds are supposed to be soft. Now, if I give you too much time on the sky, you're all gonna noodle it to death,
Yes,
and then it's gonna get all, it's all gonna get glommy. So I'm gonna move on.
you're a mind reader.
So you do the lightest areas first. And then you work up to the darker areas. What do you think is the next lightest area?
The lake or the harbor?
The harbor, yeah.
I just stuck my brush in my coffee cup. Shoot.
I've done that too. I've done that.
I just did. I
Beautiful.
wonder what blue tastes like.
That could give us a nice texture, Diana.
The key is to always drink with your opposite hand.
That's from a lefty, you would say that.
Yeah, mine's on the right side.
Diane, be glad.
The foreground, the coffee color could be the foreground left rocks.
Right.
Yeah, that was my plan all along, right?
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Let's be happy we're not painting in, let's be happy we're not painting in oils with turpentine. That'd be... Okay, I'm putting
Count my
water.
blessings.
I'm putting water across I'm not making a straight line around the boats because I want some of the boats to be sticking out in front of me. Or sticking out nearer me, and then some are way in the background. So those will be right up near the horizon. So I'm going right over these rocks because the rocks are gonna be darker. So I'm just putting water, nothing fancy here, not a very big brush either. Okay. I know you guys hate watching me just paint water. It's no fun. And I'm putting water into the shadow sides of these rocks. Okay, good. So I'm going to take and the blue is going to be lighter at the distance. A little cerulean. And it'll be darker as I come forward. So I'm going to try my cerulean here. Going around a couple of these boats. That's that one I want to save. That one there I want to save also. This one over here I want to save.
Did you say it's darker in the back or lighter in the
Oh,
back?
it's lighter in the back, right? And then it gets a little stronger as it comes forward. So I'm going to get a little bit of ultramarine. Woo! There we go. And then there are a few places where you sort of feel like you're looking through the, I'm getting a little bit of yellow kind of coming. I'm sort of seeing the bottom of the ocean here. So I'm putting a little bit of raw sienna here. That greenish gunk at the bottom of the bay. And I'm going to come back with my blue.
You wet that whole thing?
I did wet it.
I think it's called seaweed.
Seaweed. Good. All right. I don't want the two blues to be equal. So this is gonna be a little bit short here, and then this is gonna go a little bit long here. It's gonna come down along the beach. It's gonna go around those rocks. Again, a little bit more color. I'm actually adding a little bit of alizarin crimson. Oops, too much. Good and strong near the bottom here. And the shadow sides of the rocks are going to be darker than the ocean. So I can go right into the rocks. There, ocean's done. Okay, so we've got,
Well, that was fun.
you know, three, easily 2/3 of the painting done in the first half hour.
With the cerulean, you said darker
Cerulean near the,
is lighter?
is lighter near the horizon, a little stronger color down near the bottom. I'll put a few stripey lines I can. Okay, yeah, a little pause there. So these are much shorter. These are like little 3-minute sections instead of like 8 minutes.
And so what did you do to darken the ultramarine on down the line with the reds?
I used a little bit of alizarin crimson, but I had almost too much, so I wiped it out. But we got the ultramarine a little bit stronger in the foreground. All right, so now we're kind of ready to move into the next area, which is the beach. Now, even though I know these are white rocks in the foreground, they are darker than the boats for sure. And they're darker than the water. I'm going to paint the beach now with a warm color. This is really, 60% blue. So now we got to get in some of the warmer colors, and that would be the red, yellowy parts. And warm colors come forward, so it would make sense that our foreground is going to have a little bit of warmth to it. So let's see. I'm going to mix up use my large brush. I'm not going to pre-wet this. I'm going to just push it around. I'm going to get, I sort of feel like I'm going back to the well here, raw sienna. I'm going to use, just to change things, I'm going to use the Windsor red. That gives me a little bit of cerulean blue foreground. I haven't started.
You're on the beach.
I'm on the beach. On the beach. Here we are. Neville's shoot, right?
Yeah, that will shoot. Last one, yeah.
Yep.
You said raw sienna and burnt sienna?
Raw sienna, and I used Windsor red.
Which is kind of like a cadmium red.
Yep, kind of like a cadmium red. Yes. Okay, there's that. I'm gonna come right.
Raw sienna or burnt sienna?
Raw sienna, the yellow. Okay, these are some rocks here. Boom, knock that off. Now, somebody's wrong. Now I need this color to be darker than the ocean. What's wool?
How are you using?
No. A red, raw sienna. I'm using some cerulean blue. It's a little less transparent than the ultramarine. A little bluer. Down here, I'm going a little darker down here. Oh, look at that little sparkle of the beach. Look at that. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Wow, didn't expect that, but that kind of worked. Okay, the light sides of the rocks. Wow, oh boy. Kirk, that came out cool. Yeah. Okay. Now.
Did you wet this first?
No, I didn't. I went with a pretty brush with pretty strong color on it. I mean, a lot of water to it. I mean, I want to loosen that edge there. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little bit crazy here. I'm going to take find a dry paper towel. I'm going to cover over some of my. Everybody watching here, this is one of those like,
Now you see, now
yeah, now you see it. Now you go. Okay, I'm covering. I'm taking my brush. I'm putting some red, some raw sienna, and a little blue. Oops. And I'm going to take my. Can you see what I'm doing here? Where's okay? I'm going to be splattering. And over here, I'm going to get a little more blue. I'm not putting much water on here because I don't want big blobs of water on here, but I just want that texture of a beach. And if I need more color, there we go. Boy, oh boy, look at that. I'm just batting it down on my finger and creating a splatter effect. Now, if I had a toothbrush, and I didn't think to bring one in. If I had a toothbrush, I could put the toothbrush in the paint and kind of spray it the way you do when you're spraying your brother and sister when you were small. Okay, so I've got some spattering across the foreground, which creates a little bit of a texture. Now, while I've still got that going, I'm going to there's some rocks in the foreground here. I see the beach as being pretty dark here. And now I'm going to paint in those dark sides of a couple of those rocks. These rocks that look like again, my cerulean blue, my red, my yellow. And I'm just doing the edges. Now at the bottom of this rock, I don't want to make a straight line. I want to make it look like there are some rocks that are coming up against it. I'll do the dark sides of these rocks here, and then I'll let you guys go. You're probably already painting anyway, so. Can you all at home hear the train whistle blowing as it comes through the station here?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Nice sound effect.
Sounds like an inspirational speaker.
He's a very animated guy. He's fun. He's very animated fellow. I like him.
What is it?
Dr. Live, the chiropractor.
Is that what he's doing? He's talking. He's seminar or what? It's what it sounds.
Telling somebody he shouldn't chop so much wood until he fixes his back.
Hey Ned, what's the color of the splattered pebbles? I mean, that's white, but it's not white.
Well, the white I just dragged the brush and it didn't soak into the
Oh,
paper.
okay,
So
gotcha,
I left it. I was just sort of lucky there.
gotcha.
You know, when you drag a brush across a dry piece of paper, you'll get that kind of, you know, it's
Right,
like
right.
water, a sparkle of water on an ocean or something.
The splatters were just a darker version of what you did for the beach, right?
Yes. Yeah. While you guys were working on the foreground, I did a little of this mid-tone, some of these rocks where I left the light side, the left side light, the light reddish orangey color, and I put in a little darker brown on the shadow sides of the rocks. To give it some three-dimensionality.
Yes.
Ned,
Yeah.
on our drive back home last night, you've got me watching clouds like crazy.
Yeah.
And the sky, as we were going down the highway, looked exactly like if you drug a brush across dry paper. It had all the gaps in it
Yep.
and everything. I took a picture. I thought, okay, God, you're not doing it right, because you should have wet that sky. I think.
Watercolor clouds, but most other people think of it.
Wish I had more time.
Like what?
Just researching and looking.
This is the second time around for me. A year ago, I started, like, I realized that clouds were. And
And these aren't storm clouds either. Those are
these are nice clouds.
different.
Maybe yours aren't.
I didn't think so. That sounds funny.
So Jennifer, if you were doing this painting on a clear day, you probably wouldn't make the sky that 2/3. You know how the whole thing's set up. You would probably put less sky and more foreground because you wouldn't want an empty sky just be look like just a big wall, you know.
Right.
Yes, and if you see your water is getting muddy, then you want to switch it out.
There is relief. And also cleaning out your palette.
Ned, do you ever see it go really wrong and then just decide, let's see where this goes?
Of course, that's what happens in watercolor all the time.
Okay, okay.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Road. All right, I'm ready to start in on another section. And the beach stuff you can noodle away on your own time. You know, you can always be adding a little bit more darks or a few more rocks. It's very hard to get it right the first time, or in one shot, which is what you're always after. Okay, well, what's the next latest thing?
Only one thing left, the tree.
The two middle,
Boats.
No, that blue mountain in the background that I just love. So I'm going to do that blue, the distant mountain. I love the gentle curve that it has. And then I'm going to do the green coming in from the right side. Okay, but I'm going to have to paint around my boats as I do this blue mountain. And near the bottom of the blue mountain is some green. So I've got to blend a little bit of one color with another. But anyway, blue. But it's not blue. It's a for Purple Mountain's Majesty. It's a purpley blue. For beautiful, for spacious skies. Okay. I'm going to go with my ultramarine and a little touch of alizarin, and let's see what it looks like. It needs to be a little bluer. Okay. Here we go. Get that nice bend. And I'm going to go around some of these masts. And right at the bottom of that blue, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to my blue. And I'm putting in some green right down at the base of that mountain. So I am painting around, now I'm paying a little more attention. I'm painting around boats.
What size brush is that, Ned?
Oh, I got a pretty big one. It could be like a 10 or 12, but I've got a big piece of paper too, Diana. So
Okay.
but it is a round brush. I'm trying to look and make sure my boats are irregular. I think of the motorboats as having square tops. I think of the sailboats as having those masts coming up. Okay, there's that. Now I'm going to go with, well, I have this light green. I'm going to put some light green. I see some green over here. Oh, because the rest of this headlines is pretty dark. So I'm going to get in my light green first. Again, I got to watch my boats. I can't get so carried away with my green that I cover my boats. Okay, now I'm going to get a darker green, which will be raw sienna and ultramarine, which gets a pretty strong green. And that will be kind of up in here. It's going to be more. It's not going to be as dark as the ones in the foreground over here, I don't think. So here we go. Okay, do my top edge, then pull down is blending into the light greens.
Bill, I want to thank you for adding his palette into the video, because I can't see that just watching him paint. And
Yeah.
in the video where you add that in, it really helps. Thank you for doing that.
Huge help.
Okay, so I've done my distant headlands and some greens and grayish greens on the right-hand side. And I'm going to just sort of pause right now, let you guys do some more painting.
Hey, just curious, how much snow did everybody get?
You know, in Vermont and Pauling, maybe 3 inches, not critical or whatever. But I know
Really?
on the vineyard they got hammered. They got 30 inches, and wind was blowing, so it hit the screens on houses, so you couldn't see out the window because the snow was covering it.
Oh, my word.
And wind blew out lots of power lines too.
And we
What's
got 15 inches in Falmouth.
Did you?
Yeah, it's
Was
beautiful.
that? Yeah. Wow.
Carol, yeah.
Yeah.
15 inches. Josh, how much did you all get?
Well, in Western Mass, we only got about 4 or 6 inches, but it was the eastern part and the Cape and Islands that got a ton. But for us, it was snowing all day. It just wasn't much. So it just didn't amount to much. It was very pretty, but
The city got like 12.
12?
Carol, did you lose power?
We didn't lose power, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, good, good.
But we had 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was howling.
Yeah, yeah.
Was the snow drifting with all that?
Just a little bit where we are. We're not right on the ocean. We're on a pond that's, half a mile from the ocean. So it's windy, but we were a little more protected than if we'd been right on the water.
You know where Pin Oak Way is? Pin Oak Lane? We have friends there.
Oh, yeah. I know that there's a lot of North Falmouth, kind of more on Buzzards Bay, lost power. And then on the other side, like in Plymouth and Sandwich, that side of the Cape.
All right. Well, while we're talking about snow, we're looking at a very summery scene, green trees. So I'm about to do the green on the right. I'm sorry, on the left. And I have the feeling that the sunlight is coming from the left. There are some trees I want to keep a light side, and then there's a dark side, and then there's another light side and a dark side. So I got to keep that and keep the shapes interesting. So I'm going to start in with a light. Wow. New Gamboge yellow is a pretty strong color, so I'm going to jump in with that as a light. This is going to be a light tree. I'm just going to smear it in here because I'm going to be putting other colors around it. New Gamboge and actually cerulean, because I don't want it to get too dark. And I see some light tones up around this house.
You did not pre-wet that, right?
No, because the area is so small, I'm really not going to fuss with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Bring all that way down and maybe a little bit on this side of this one. Okay, so I put in where my sort of light colors are. Let me get a little bit more yellow over here. Oops. Okay, so now I'm going to go with a pretty strong ultramarine blue, raw sienna, and maybe even some. Okay, this will be the shadow side of this tree. Getting a little bit more blue, a little bit of alizarin. Whoops. And this is blending into the wet color. So I'm getting a blurry edge right down there, which I kind of think I like. Wiggling it right down to there. Okay, blue, there's so many ways to mix greens that ultramarine and New Gamboge is pretty strong color. I'm going to put really dark green against this edge here. Right against that edge of the yellow, I'm going to put pretty strong color. And then I'm going to have a little less dark back in here. I won't get that quite as dark. Okay, so I'm going to take this green. I'm going to go down around the rocks. And I may put some darks right down against the rocks because I want to make them jump out a little bit. And right at the edge of the water, it's very dark. So I'm going to put that right across there. And then I've got another dark section here. And the outside of the trees, make them kind of raggedy. They, you know, like leaves sticking out a little bit. So they don't have a rounded edge, but they have a kind of a raggedy look. Okay, I'm going up against the house here. Okay, this dark green going right down to the water. Leaving a little bit of beach sort of down there. And then on the other side of that tree. And I'm going around the house now, more of a yellow. Whew, boy. So this is sort of like the greens we had in the only other last week. I'm painting around the porch of this house. I should be switching to a smaller brush, but I'm being lazy.
No, can't see.
Sorry.
Okay, well, a little hint of sunlight coming across some of those areas, just to break it up so it's not all the same. And it's definitely darker than the other colors. Okay, I'll let you work on that, which you already are, because I can tell by the quietness. Nobody's watching me anymore, so it's all right.
I am.
Here we go.
I'm watching, but you're 3 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'm building up muscle memory.
Okay, our last steps, and I won't start it until this is, let you catch up a little bit. We'll put some shadow shapes around the boats. I'll do a little bit of touch around the house. I'll leave the roof of the house fairly light, but I'll darken other parts of it. There may be some reflections of the masts in the boats. We'll see.
It's interesting, Ned, watching you do the composition. It's, I realized my eye was drawn to that light green, and you went over and darkened it so that it didn't pull focus.
Yeah, it was jumping out at me too much. Yeah.
Right. I'm learning watching you, because I thought, now my eye loves that bright green, and you went over like, no.
It's all right.
I like the way we don't have a large bridge going across the front and middle.
Who's putting it? Who?
You got rid of the bridge. That was like.
I left the bridge out, but
Yeah.
yeah.
The bridge was Oscar Street.
Maybe it was straight line, it was the cars all going across the top of the bridge.
What's really interesting is when you're on that bridge, there's a bridge right down at the water level that was put in about 1920, just a 2-lane going up to the coast of Maine. And
That was just when they were getting people to be interested in living there.
yeah, and you can see how it would have been a real bottleneck for traffic to have just that little teeny concrete bridge.
I was actually old enough. In Cape May, they had built a new bridge that would take it so that it was no longer a drawbridge going into Cape May.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun watching that. I was like 8 or 9 years old. My grandma lived down there.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and mom had lots of stories about that bridge.
Was it the building of it or?
The old drawbridge.
Oh gosh. I'm sure a lot of cursing if you got there just.
How did you know?
It's a long time.
Yes.
Well, perhaps what I'm discovering is I'm better with construction perspective than I am with free-flowing things.
Well,
You better than what?
she says the solid objects, I think, are
Yeah.
little. So then you'll like the boats that we do next time.
If the boats didn't have to be on water.
We can do some upside down boats on a beach, right?
Right. How about being repaired in the dock, in the, the courtyard?
Library, I guess. What if you're sitting on water?
Yikes.
Or they could be sitting in a bottle. That'd be fun to paint.
No.
With reflections of the glass. There we go. Okay, I'm going to move this down.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to zero in. I'm going to do some of the last touches here. That's doing highlights on the boats or shadow shapes. Shadow shapes on the boats. Okay, so what am I going to do here? Let me do the house while I'm thinking of it. Using a little bit of kind of a reddish tone here. I'm going to. I just want the angle of that roof to come through. I need a straight edge here.
I have no clue. I'm busy watching the painting. I don't care what they say.
Okay, so there's the house. I've left the color of the roof was sort of the color of the sky. I might decide to lighten that up or darken it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to just go in with the boats now. A little bit of what? No, what? Okay, I'm going to zoom in even closer.
Ned, I have to leave.
Okay, that's okay.
Bill locked himself out of the car at Home Depot over in Keene, so he's standing outside.
Oh my gosh.
I'll watch the video later.
Okay, well, you're 98% done. So just watch the last 3 minutes, I think. Okay, a little bit of alizarin crimson, a little bit of blue, ultramarine, and the light's coming from the left. So the right sides. So I'm just doing a few shadow shapes. Okay, there's one stink pot right there. There's another boat there. And I'm just pretending that I'm looking at these boats. Okay, now let's see. I'm going to make this a sailboat. See you later, Trish.
Bye.
Again, I'm just hopscotching around here.
Between the boats.
Kind of between the boats. Yep, here's the back end of this boat. Here's the bottom edge of the boat. That bottom edge, I'm going to put a little bit of red in it at the water line. Just enough red to make that a little bit of a highlight. Here's that. Boom.
So tell me what the color was that you were working with again.
Well, I keep going back to ultramarine and alizarin crimson.
You basically have two blues, 2 yellows, 2
Yeah.
umbers, and 2 reds.
Yep. There's another boat there. This one's facing me, so I'm going to have a little bit of. There's that.
And they actually make a lot of sense. One's a blue or red, and one's a yellow or red.
Right, and that's when you do. Now I'm going to do a little bit of masts.
Are we seeing that? I don't see a hand on your.
Oh yeah, what's happening?
You're in close. You have to move the camera over in order to.
Oh, you can't see the. Oh, yeah, there's the mast. Oh, there's the mast. Okay, so I'm putting in some masts here. Keep it fairly light. I don't get it too dark. This one's going to be the longest one because it's the main boat there. Okay, we're doing some wiggly lines.
And just a question, a dumb question is Barbara here. So
Yeah.
when you put those reflections of the masts in,
Yeah.
in the photograph, you don't have any of that because
Nope.
the boats are too far in the distance and it's really a cloudy day. So and also the water is riffly. So this is just poetic license, I guess, or artistic license.
I think the water was kind of very blank. It was almost dull. So I thought just to animate it a little bit, I'd put some of that in. Now I also might. Here's where I can really screw things up. But I also could take. I'm going to bring this up now. Come back.
And then move over.
And do the whole thing. I also, tighten that baby up. I'm just trying to get it back up again. I'm going to put some bigger strokes on the water. Barbara, are you still with me?
Sorry, I muted. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So now I've got just a brush with, be careful here. I got just a brush with some water, blue paint. What am I going to do here? Now, these lines get closer in the back and a little stronger in the front. And there, kind of riffle that up a little bit. And just I guess just to break up what was getting could be a little bit boring. I might have ruined the whole thing too, but I just wanted to show you there. That edge seemed a little strong. There we go. Yeah. So that now that house looks a little bit bright. I'm just going to take a little bit of color and just a little bit of blue, take it down a notch. My focal point is on these boats, these bright boats. It's the only real pieces of white I have. I've got a couple pretty good dark marks next to them indicating windows and the bottom edge of a hull or something like that. But I'm not getting too picky about it. But they're in my mind, so I was trying to do it that way. All right, so I think yeah, not a calm summer scene with boats and high clouds and tranquil harbor. This is Belfast, Maine, by the way. I'll get you all out early for your lunch dates. Sure.
Here comes the train. Train's late.
And did you do something kind of squirrely at the beach at the very bottom of the picture that we did, that I guess I didn't notice? I know you did the spattering, but did you?
And I went, yeah, good question. I did go back while you guys were painting. I just darkened up some of the shadow edges of some of these rocks because it was looking a little dull down there. There wasn't a lot of light dark contrast. So I did put in a few more darks in there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And notice, it's not coincidence. This rock peaks up, a little triangle is the one that peaks up and goes to my largest sailboat. That was the one of all the clutter there, I wanted that one to stand out. So I had it a little bit closer to us. It's got the tallest mast. It's got the longest reflection, and it's got a little bit of red at the hull, so it jumps out a little bit more than maybe some of the other purpley ones. So again, just doing a few things to make your eye kind of go that way. I could probably go back and make a couple of these rocks darker. I don't want to get too much attention down here though. But that said, maybe I'll get my stuff. Oh, and as I remind people, but I don't always do it myself, it's wonderful to take your painting and look at it in a mirror, and you will see things in it that you overlook because the painting was getting too familiar to you. You were just missing something. So maybe before you send me something for critique, take one last look at it and yeah, not start all over. And see if
I
there's
have-
something that jumps out or needs a
I have
little.
done that Ned, after I took a picture to send it to you, and I looked at the picture and went, "Oh, I missed that."
Yeah. When you take the picture, then it's kind of reduced. You see it. You see the whole thing much better.
Ned,
Yeah.
totally unrelated, but for those of us who are landlubbers, what is a stink pot?
Oh, the stink pots are what
Motorboats.
tourists around sailboats call the motorboats, the big cruise boats.
And they stink.
And
Do
do
they
stink.
really?